Two important developments in mobile gaming are about to happen. And to understand what exactly they are, we have to talk a little bit about the downsides of mobile gaming, specifically some of its limitations. Now, obviously, I'm a big advocate for mobile games. One doesn't just stumble into a channel dedicated to mobile gaming exactly. And despite how many others might feel, that also includes their controls. And there's plenty of games that get the most out of their on-screen controls, and honestly would play horribly or at least be lesser in some way on more conventional gaming hardware. However, it's not exactly a secret that the opposite is often also the case as well. There's a market for these things for a reason after all. Especially as newer games often rely more and more on virtual buttons, where things tend to be a bit more complicated. And one phone that tried to bridge this gap back in the day was the Xperia Play. It came out with a, for the time, revolutionary design that essentially taped a flat, very unique looking controller to a very much not unique looking typical Xperia phone. And with a very well designed hinge gluing it all together, you were certainly getting attention in the schoolyard if nothing else. And as someone who used this exact phone back in the day, this all worked surprisingly well. Look no further than YouTube and its fascination with this device to understand truly how much this idea has resonated with people in the years since. Where even today, the "I used the Xperia Play in X year" videos seem to pop up with surprising regularity for a decade-plus old phone that didn't exactly sell great. But something far fewer know, and that was detailed more thoroughly in this Android Police video from the end of last year, is that Sony took out a patent on this phone design back in 2011, making it impossible for manufacturers to merge a controller and phone in this exact way. So if you're wondering why this design hasn't shown up again since, in any shape or form, this goes some distance to explain why. I'd recommend checking out the Android Police video if you're interested in the full details on how this patent was worded exactly. However, the important news is that this patent will be expiring later this year, meaning that any new gaming phones released after then now has a tested, well-working design they can copy for future releases. That isn't to mean that they necessarily will, of course. This will still be a very niche design, and it won't be something that appeals to most people. It will probably appeal to even fewer people than even their current gaming phones, if I were to guess. But with the quality of many of the games released on mobile today, which this channel has made it a mission to highlight as many of as it can, as well as other parts of mobile gaming, which we talk less about here, like emulation and game streaming, a phone like this is very much something I'd love to see a modern attempt at, in, for example, a future Asus ROG phone or something similar. The second development that I'd like to cover today is one that seeks to solve a very similar problem to the one we just talked about, but is attacking it from a slightly different angle. And that is the release later this year of the new MCON phone controller. If you haven't stayed up to date on this story, the short version is that a YouTuber by the name of Eternal Progression has detailed the development of a new phone controller they've been working on. And if your short-term memory works at all, you might notice some similarities to the Xperia Play controller design that we just talked about. The MCON, however, is a case, or accessory maybe, not a phone, and wouldn't be subject to that same patent in the same way. And on top of that, it aims to bring that same design language of the Xperia Play to even non-gaming phones. The latest update, as of just the other week, is that they completed a very successful Kickstarter, where they far surpassed their stated goal. And bar no other delays, cases should start rolling out to early backers in August later this year, with a wider release some months after. The normal disclaimers all apply, of course, that this is an untested product with very little hands-on scrutiny as of yet, either that be from reviewers or players for that matter, so always take promises you hear before anyone has had the chance to verify them with a large grain of salt. Now, there is an established company helping out with the production and distribution of the MCON controllers, and I obviously really like the idea, so I choose to stay optimistic for now. They've really nailed the core frustration of other controllers here, I think, and how they tend to generally be very large and clunky and are therefore almost guaranteed to not be with you when you most need them. A more traditional controller, like this one, you might bring for a long flight, for example. but if it's a shorter train ride as part of a daily commute, probably not so much. In fact, if I'm allowed to bring any criticism at this point, I would have maybe liked for the MCON to be even smaller than it is currently. Maybe closer to what their initial iteration looked like, or even the weight and thickness of the Xperia controller half itself. However, they've clearly prioritized comfort and the quality of components, like more premium joysticks, and that's mainly just a difference in philosophy, and I can't really blame them for that, even if I personally really value something that's super portable and easy to bring with me everywhere. There's also added size that inherently comes with the case-like approach, of course, like the added thickness of the connection mechanism that the Play didn't have to worry about, for example. But if you prefer something more comfortable that still is more portable than most controllers out there, then this product is truly made for you. And hey, perhaps a V2 or even a light version down the line can do something with the size as well. So far, it seems they're targeting MagSafe phones first and foremost. However, with certain select few Android phones now also having MagSafe, as well as an included stick-on adapter for non-MagSafe phones, it looks like they have given a lot of thought to non-iPhone users as well. I'll link the creator's video down below too, of course, and I'll be giving the final product a try when the retail version is released as well, so stay tuned for that.